So this analysis is basically derived from what I thought and felt while reading Remina. It is basically a cosmic horror story, but it is mostly focused on the human behavior rather than in the mysteries of the cosmos. This is why my analysis is more focused on the characters than the rest, since I wouldn't like to reduce this piece of fiction by just talking about the themes of cosmic horror. Starting with the basics, I don't think the title is specifically dedicated to any of the characters, but rather more their impact on the end of the world. The mere fact that they share a name is only a coincidence, especially since they couldn't be more opposites. A name only has the symbolism we give it. Let's focus primarily on the girl. Firstly, Remina appears in a quick flashback to show her future is nothing else but grim. Ito's hook here is to entice the reader to uncover why this girl is being treated as if she were a witch, persecuted by the Inquisition, set in the future. Afterwards, her story is told chronologically, and we see that Remina doesn't really express her own will and is tied down to the will of others, much like tied down to the cross in the flashback. Throughout the story, she's in a similar position to the reader, submissive to the events unfolding on the page, with no other choice but to follow along. Remina is tossed around figuratively and literally, even by gravity, poor girl. It starts with her father making decisions for her, including naming the planet he discovered after her against her will. Then comes the manager, her fans, the whole world, and at last, the homeless man. One thing is certain, there is always a man making choices for her. And I believe that Ito did this intentionally, diving into themes that expose the negative side of womanhood. Just like the girl, the planet sets expectations that what's in store is positive. The discovery of their planet moving through the universe in a way never seen before mirrors the girl's career as a star who everyone looks up at. Ominously, the planet begins moving closer and closer to the Earth, devouring planets in our solar system. News of imminent doom spread quickly, and the seed of fear will soon start bearing fruit. People begin blaming the Oguros out of nowhere without any reasonable explanation. Although they have no affiliation with the planet, they are hunted down. Even though Remina's father as a scientist could help humanity. Both in aspect and behavior, the girl and the planet could not be more opposites. The girl is conventionally pretty, young, innocent, and submissive, while the planet is horrifying to look at, uninhabitable for life, perhaps older than the Earth, with an insatiable primal instinct. The planet may represent an untamed will that is hidden away, perhaps by shame, inside the girl, who has a voice often repressed by others. The planet's appearance can also hint at the ugliness inside of the prettiest of people, or that sometimes perfect people are not that perfect. What's normal is that everyone has flaws, even the people we look up to, and it's unfair to expect otherwise. Regarding expectations from people who we admire at a distance, both Remina'S are target of unrealistic expectations. The planet is expected to be a new, optimistic look at life outside our planet. And the girl rises to become an international star based on sharing a name with a recently discovered planet. The eager eyes of the world are on them both in unison. And so the girl has fans from all over the world, receiving an overwhelming amount of love for what she does. Hate comes along as well, and most times it's a sort of divided reaction. Most people who love you won't hate you, and people who hate you won't love you. The exception is that sometimes for celebrities, YouTubers, streamers, etc., both emotions can go hand to hand for some people. The feeling of love might invoke jealousy and or envy, a feeling of entitlement, of ownership even over that person you admire. Other times, fans might have a feeling of hate rooted in love, simply for not emotionally owning that person. It comes to no surprise when Goda and Maneshi display the attitudes they do. Maneshi behaves like an entitled pervert from the start, undoubtedly associated with his status, being born in a powerful, wealthy family. He sees his fanatism for Remina as love, instead of creepy, objectifying behavior. When all hell breaks loose, he is the first one to flee, since what he feels is not love. Maneshi only sees her as an object to exert his desire, a means to an end, like anything in his life. It comes as no surprise when he sexually assaults her and blames her for seducing him when his parents catch him. Meanwhile, I think Goda's feelings towards Remina are more intricate in comparison to Maneshi's. He is the president of Remina's official fan club, therefore there is a more intense emotional investment than on Maneshi's part. Even though not shown, he's probably obsessive over her, following her every move, everyone she spends her time with, even if brief. The clues are all there for him to be a masked individual, even though it still shocked me when I found out. He desires to both try to save her and kill her. They both represented best what parasocial relationships can be, rooted in hate and love. In current days, there are plenty of examples of women suffering from harassment from these parasocial relationships, or even hate from peers. Even though men also experience this, for women, this experience is almost always accompanied with misogyny, usually for not reciprocating attention or speaking to male friends, for breathing sometimes, for God's sake.
Please go outside. I promise it is so much better for you.
The men who are around Remina act like they have a right to toss her around like she's some toy. Even though all female celebrities can get this kind of treatment regularly, it is undeniable that all women can identify with Remina's experience to some level, since all women have been subjected to harassment to some level. So it came to no surprise to me how I empathized with Remina being treated so poorly by men who kept on disregarding what she wanted, diminishing her even when she is a superstar. Remina barely even talks compared to the rest of the characters, who are mostly men. The mob mentality behavior isn't fully exhibited until death is certain. Unable to face their insignificance in regards to the planet devourer, the whole world chases Remina, who only shares a name with the planet, and her father, who only named and discovered said planet. This is intrinsically part of the themes that make cosmic horror what it is. The world's unavoidable reality is that their death, their home and planet, is about to end. There are no heroes or scientists who succeed in a mission to fight off the threat. The one attempt world leaders find, the missiles, have a ricocheting effect, meaning they only sped their deaths. There's a different type of attempt to stall the end by searching for a home in Remina, the planet, which is a very common trope in sci-fi, to live on another planet when the Earth dies. But that attempt is also doomed from the beginning, when the planet itself has an ominous reaction to life, hinting that this planet is only a bringer of death. Eventually, Remina also dooms the future of the rich people who try to escape, leaving the rest of the world behind, potentially having a more painful death and being digested by Remina. The only character who seems to accept her fate gracefully is Remina, who admits to wanting to die. This is the one time she says what she wants. After the whole world turns on her for no reason other than her name, her father and manager, who she has a crush on, die at the hands of the mob who is chasing her. Her innocence is lost, buried along with the future she could have had before the planet appeared. She has no time to breathe, being constantly chased by a mob, yet she's the one who grasps the reality of the apocalypse. She has no one, the world hates her, and Earth will be no more. There is no meaning to her life at that point, and perhaps because of that she accepts her fate. Alas, the whole world never stops trying to kill Remina, resorting to ignorance instead of accepting their inevitable end. One would think that spending the last moments with your loved ones is far more important than a witch hunt, yet most people seek for someone to blame. The place of humanity has no meaning in the universe, but that's far harder to accept than to find a scapegoat for the end of Earth. Throughout history, humans have had the strange habit of failing to accept many phenomena out of their control, or that certain facts are real. Therefore, it comes to no surprise how they behave towards Remina. The act of eating is as instinctive as breathing for us, so why would Hellstar Remina think twice about feeding? Even though not all humans die, the future doesn't look very bright. Let's speculate they do have food in the spaceship. How long would it last? They need to grow food and have water on a planet with the same atmosphere as Earth. Otherwise, how will future generations survive? Sooner or later, the remnants of humanity will repeat history and start killing each other again. It is a grim story from beginning to end, no matter what the characters choose. And by the way, I did love the book. It's brilliantly written and the art is out of this world, one might say. One of my wishes for this year is to read as many books that Ito has written as possible.
Hello there.
So I'm starting off with Remina, just the first book I picked up really. So I hope you enjoyed and I'll see you next time. Bye. All women also have experienced orgasm. Cosmic.